What is your favourite snack to eat whilst writing?
Oh, I love a snack. Like Amity in the book, I like Haribo. Fried eggs are my absolute favourites. But I also like a bit of toast, maybe marmalade on toast, or peanut butter and Marmite at the same time. And I love a custard cream. Nice cheap custard cream from the supermarket. Fantastic. I could talk about snacks all day long, actually. The other thing that I absolutely have to have while I'm writing is a cup of tea, and that usually goes in my favourite mug.
Do you treat yourself when you have completed the first draft of a book?
So when I've completed the first draft of a book, I don't often even pause, really. I just start writing something else, or I start editing the book. I go back to the beginning and start thinking about the characters and the story and everything all over again. But maybe I should treat myself a little bit more, because completing a first draft is a big deal when you've written an entire book, however many words that might be, and you've got to the end and you've written the end, even though it's not the end of the journey. It's a really big milestone. So yeah, do you know what? I think I might celebrate that a little bit more in the future.
What is your favourite thing to do when you have completely finished a book?
I think when the book is finished, on the shelves, available to buy, my favourite thing to do is firstly have a lovely book launch to really celebrate, have a party with lots of writer friends and booksellers and librarians, and celebrate the book actually being available. It's amazing to see your book in a shop, and to give it a bit of love with people who love books. I just take a bit of a break as well. So when I've finished a first draft, I'm usually straight back into it or writing something else. I think once I've got a book physically finished, cover available, it's time for a little rest.
What is your favourite children's book ever written?
Well, that's just about the hardest question to answer ever. I've cheated a bit. I've picked two favourite children's books. I hope that's okay. They both reflect my writing in a way. So the first one is Charlotte's Web there by E.B. White. I've loved this book since I was little, and I've read it over and over again, and I always cry. It's a book that just makes me feel so many emotions, and I think that's what good books do, isn't it? They make us feel something. Charlotte's Web definitely does that. And then my second favourite book is by probably my favourite ever author, and that's Neil Gaiman. And The Graveyard Book is just everything I love about amazing characters and storytelling, but also this really creepy, unsettling, sort of sinister vibe. And this one is extra special because it's got the illustrations by Chris Riddell, who is my favourite illustrator too.
If you could invite 3 children's authors to dinner, past or present, who would you invite and why?
My ideal have some authors round for dinner would be a Halloween party. We'd eat lots of disgusting looking food and talk about creepy, scary books and movies that we love. I think that would be brilliant. I think the perfect 3 guests for that might be Frances Harding, who's written lots of unsettling, spooky kind of books. A Skinful of Shadows is probably my favourite. And who else would I invite? Susan Cooper, author of The Dark is Rising sequence. I love reading those at Christmas. I like to kind of blend Halloween into Christmas and take everything spooky into sort of winter setting, and she does that really, really brilliantly. And of course, no surprises, my third guest would be Neil Gaiman, just because he is my favourite author of all time, and I love his writing. I think we'd have an amazing, disturbing, spooky conversation.
If you could co-write a children's book with another author, who would you like to write with and why?
I have a bit of a dream to write or co-write a graphic novel. So the author that I would choose to collaborate with would be Tim Probert of Lightfall fame. It's just such an incredible series of books. The illustrations are so beautiful. It would be such an honour and a pleasure to create words to go with something so incredibly beautiful. So yes, that would be my choice, would be a collaboration, some way of seeing my words artistically represented, because I can't draw at all, and that would be really, really lovely.
If your shortlisted book were to be made into a film, who would you like to play your main characters?
When I begin writing a book, I create my characters. I have character sheets for all of them. So I write down all sorts of things about their personality traits, things they might struggle with, things that they're good at, what their voice might sound like, who they might sound like. And I also choose images from the internet. I might choose several images to give me an impression. So it's not a perfect idea of who they are, but it gives me a sense of what they might look like. And it also helps me to remember who's got what colour hair, who's wearing what kind of clothes, what are their hairstyles like. And so I think for the movie version of The House Trap, which sounds amazing, it would make sense to pick those characters, some of the characters that I've chosen these images of, although I think they're mostly too old now. So maybe they could do voiceovers for the animated version, which sounds amazing. To have an animated version of my book, that would be very, very cool. So Delia was always a sort of a cross between Kin and Shipka from Sabrina and Maya Hawke from Stranger Things. That sort of summed her up perfectly. Sam was always Joel Courtney. I had this one picture of him from Super 8 and that just looked like my Sam. Same for Amity. Faith Herman just looks exactly like I imagined Amity to look in my head. And for Claude, I just really love Amir Wilson in his Dark Materials, and I think they've got quite similar personalities as well. So they would be perfect just maybe a few years ago.